This is the story of one of the most diabolical serial killings in India. A case so shocking, it gripped the nation and dominated headlines for years. 6 murders over 16 years, all within the same family. And through it all, the killer remained hidden in plain sight. The final twist will leave you questioning everything. Stay with us as we unravel this chilling true crime from Kerala, India, and watch as a moody surrealistic painting inspired by this dark story comes to life in front of you. It was a bright morning in the year 2002 in the quaint village of Kudathai in Kerala, India. Anamma Thomas, one of the most respected and influential figure in the village, just returned to her home after her morning walk. She lived in a large house with a large family, 3 sons, a daughter-in-law, and her grandson, all living under the same roof as is the usual norm in India, especially back then. The house was bustling with laughter and energy, with everyone enjoying a nice and delicious breakfast. Anamma drank her usual glass of water and then prepared to join her family for breakfast. However, she immediately felt uneasy. She felt like the blood is rising to her cheeks and her heartbeat was very fast. She could somehow feel internally that she was going to die, and when her daughter Renji came back to check in on her, she told her, "Call everyone. I think I'm about to die." Renji immediately cut the power in her home to catch everyone's attention, and everyone rushed their beloved mother to the hospital. But it was too late, and the doctor pronounced Anamma dead as soon as she reached the hospital. This death sent shockwaves not just through the family, but through the whole village of Kudathai. What they did not know that this was just the beginning, and in the span of 16 years, there would be 5 more mysterious deaths. It would turn out that these deaths were not natural at all, and the truth is so diabolical and so shocking that it would send shockwaves not just through the village of Kudathai, but through all of India. Stay tuned till the end of the story to discover the unexpected truth behind all these deaths. I promise the twist in the end will surprise you. If you like art with a touch of mystery, you're in the right place. Welcome to Mrs. Arty. If you like our content, add the like and subscribe button to the masala of your lives so you stay up to date with our newest videos. Let us get back a few years before Anamma's death, to the year 1997. Anamma's son Roy started exchanging love letters with Jolly Joseph in the village of Katappanna, and soon they got married. Jolly was well educated. She received her Masters of Commerce before getting married. She was also a charming, smiling, caring, and loving woman who soon became the symbol of an ideal wife in the neighborhood. She also struck a close friendship with Renji, the daughter of Anamma. They would go out into town, go shopping together, and in general have a good time. After Anamma's death, however, the bonds of this friendship began to fray, giving way to distance and coldness that grew heavier with time. Soon, Renji got married, however, and moved to Colombo. We'll get back to Renji soon. Meanwhile, Jolly, after Anamma's death, actually took up all the household responsibilities of her late mother-in-law, and very soon became the leader of the household as the years dragged by. Jolly also secured a job in NIT Calicut, which is a very large institution in the state of Kerala. She had a salary of 40,000 rupees a month, which was quite decent in the context. In this part of India, education is valued highly, and as soon as everyone heard that Jolly has become a professor, her respect in the community increased quite a lot. We move forward to a warm evening in 2008. Jolly's father-in-law was sipping his cup of coffee. He was quite disturbed, as he had heard a rumor that Jolly was having an affair with a local goldsmith named Matthew Samuel. He did not want to believe it at first, as it did not go along with Jolly's character at all. After all, she was a highly educated, respectable professor at NIT. How can she have such an illicit affair? But soon, he had started observing some unsettling patterns in Jolly's behavior. He could find her whispering in the phone in the garden. Matthew also seemed to visit more often than usual, which Tom did not like at all. Matthew finished his coffee and took his routine medication. Immediately, he did not seem to feel well. He could feel a tightness in his chest and dizziness, and then he collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately was declared dead as soon as he got there. The doctor informed that he died because of a heart attack. After Tom Thomas's death, a cloud of gloom and despair somewhat thickened over the family. Despite the circumstances, Matthew Samuel continued to visit the Thomas household. Roy Thomas, the husband of Jolly, was not taking it that well at all. But mind you, in those days, divorce was not very common in India, especially in the well-respected middle-class community. One can easily find many instances where a couple have spent the rest of their lives despite full knowledge of illicit affairs of their partner, primarily because of societal stigma. Things were even tougher for Roy as he was struggling in his business as well and had accumulated a lot of debt. One evening in 2011, 3 years after Tom's death, Roy Thomas came back home from work. He was quite surprised to see that the house was quieter, with the children already in bed by 8 p.m. Nevertheless, being occupied with his business struggles, he did not think much of it and went to eat his dinner. Jolly has made him his favorite meal, rice and chickpea curry. Immediately after having his dinner, he started to feel uneasy. He went up, got to the washroom, locked himself, and then immediately passed out. Jolly knocked on the door but to no avail. When Roy Thomas was eventually found collapsed in the bathroom floor, he had already passed away. The news of Roy's death was a huge shock to Renji, the daughter of Tom and Annamma Thomas, who had moved to Colombo. She spoke on the phone with Jolly, who told her that Roy had lunch around 3 p.m. and she made him his favorite chickpea curry. After this, in the evening, Roy was in the bathroom when she came down to make an omelette. She had to call her neighbor to eventually retrieve Roy's body. Renji still could not believe Roy's death. After all, her parents were elderly and Roy was a young, healthy individual with no signs of any ailments whatsoever. She found it quite unbelievable and suspected there must be some foul play going on. She started discussing this with her uncle, Matthew Munchedil. Matthew agreed with Renji that something was definitely not right with Roy's death. He insisted that they ask for a post-mortem. The post-mortem report revealed something shocking. They found that Roy's death was due to cyanide poisoning. But why and who would poison Roy? The general consensus was that Roy must have committed suicide, pressured by his growing debt, and the humiliation that a once respected family would suffer if he failed to repay them. Renji, however, was not convinced. She could not get herself to accept that Roy had committed suicide. She maintained close contact with her uncle Matthew Munchedil. The more Mr. Munchedil spoke with Renji, the more they realized that in no way that this was a suicide and somebody must have poisoned Roy. They even had a strong hunch about who this person was, but they kept this a secret as they literally had no evidence. Matthew kept close contact with the Thomas family and whoever they had contact with. He had made up his mind that he is going to get to the bottom of Roy's death. Despite his and Renji's best efforts, almost 3 years drifted by without answers. The Thomas household, once warm and bustling, had shrunk considerably and withered itself into a shadow of what it once was. One afternoon in 2014, Renji finished a now usual conversation with Matthew, discussing what could be done to solve the puzzles and bring the family closure. By evening, she got a phone call. It was Jolly, and she told Renji that Uncle Matthew had passed away. When Renji received the phone call, she was shocked, but perhaps she was used to this by now. This was the fourth eerily similar death in her family, all of the people who she was very close with. But she really had no time to grieve. 2 more tragic and disastrous news came from a slightly different part of the family in the same year. A 2-year-old daughter of Roy's cousin Shaju, named Alpine Shaju, was found suddenly dead in a party. She apparently choked on her food. Soon after, her mother Silly was also found dead in a dental clinic. Both their deaths are very similar to the previous 4 deaths, sudden and unexpected. At this point, Renji could not keep still. She thought she had to go back to Kudathai and check in on the rest of the family herself. Upon her arrival, Jolly greeted her, led her to Silly's coffin, and then went on to take care of her duties at the funeral. While sitting there watching Jolly, Renji found it a bit strange that Jolly did not seem very shaken at all by the deaths happening around her. In fact, she seemed even a bit jovial. Then suddenly, almost unexpectedly, a thought hit Renji's mind like a stroke of lightning. The thought was so shocking, so diabolical and so crazy that she could not sit still. She immediately asked Rojo, the brother of Roy Thomas, to provide her with the postmortem report of Roy. When she got the report in hand, she zoomed into the time of death. It was 11:20 p.m. Her suspicions were confirmed. She immediately called K.G. Simons, the rural SP of Kerala Police, and spent 3 hours with him describing her suspicions and thoughts about this long string of deaths which her family had seen. Simons listened patiently and then launched an investigation with full force. He was convinced by now that all of these deaths were actually murders, and the murderer was none other than Roy's wife, Jolly Joseph. The deaths were all due to cyanide poisoning. But why and how would Jolly commit these crimes? How did she get hold of the cyanide? To understand this, we would need to go back a bit and understand who Jolly was as a person. Jolly was born in a family of hard-working farmers, but Jolly had a dream of living the luxurious life of a trophy wife and did not like to work at all. This was one of the primary reasons she married Roy, as the Thomas family was well off and respected in the community. She also lied about her degree of Bachelor in Commerce, perhaps just to earn some respect in the household. She even managed to get a false certification of her degree, but this move backfired in a way she did not imagine. Jolly's mother-in-law Anamma Thomas continued to insist that Jolly should find some work with her qualifications. She even insisted that she would take care of the children while Jolly worked. Mind you, this is extremely progressive, especially for rural India at that time. Jolly realized that if this continued, her facade of having a degree will be eventually exposed. At that point, she read in the newspaper that cyanide was a deadly poison and acts within minutes of someone consuming it. Also, the symptoms mimic a heart attack, so it was the perfect poison to use in her circumstance. But where can she get cyanide? This is where her affair with Matthew Samuel came in handy. Remember, Matthew Samuel was a goldsmith? It turns out that goldsmiths use cyanide to extract gold from the ore. Jolly somehow managed to extract the cyanide from Matthew. Whether Matthew was involved in the crime or not is still under investigation. But after getting the cyanide, Jolly used it to poison Anamma. After Anamma's death, Jolly wanted to take over the family and gain respect in the community. She then even lied about a job in NIT. She never really had any such job. This was all a lie to get recognition in the community. She even continued her affair with Matthew, perhaps for fun or just to have someone trustworthy in case she needed more cyanide. As the years passed by, Jolly's father-in-law Tom was her next target, as Tom was growing suspicious of her relationship with Matthew and disapproved it heavily. She slipped the poison in the medication of Tom, which led to his demise. Her husband Roy did not approve of her affair with Matthew either, so she decided Roy needs to go as well. On the night of Roy's death, she put her children to bed early, prepared the chickpea curry, and quietly slipped the cyanide in it. Now at this point you might find it strange that even after the postmortem revealed cyanide, and with all the deaths that happened before Roy was killed, why did the police not investigate this further? But you have to realize that in India, the figure of a mother, especially from a well-off family, is usually seen as someone who loves, nurtures and cares. And Jolly was the ideal woman. It would have been a very large leap to imagine that she was behind all the murders of her own family members. Anyway, with Roy out of the way, Jolly needed someone else to cling on to fulfill her dream of becoming the trophy wife that she always wanted. This is why she set her eyes on Shaju, the cousin of Roy. However, Shaju was married with his wife Silly and daughter Alfine. Therefore, both of them, unfortunately, also fell victim of Jolly. As you watch this painting come to life, notice its unsettling details. The eggs, symbol of motherhood, remind us of the family that once thrived. The traditional Indian utensils evoke the kitchen where trust was betrayed and poison was quietly stirred into meals. The spider lurking in the jar embodies the venom and deception that claimed 6 lives over 16 years. And at the center, the calm face framed by doorways like hidden secrets, represent the murderer who lived among them, hiding in plain sight. This surreal still life becomes a chilling portrait of betrayal, death, and darkness.